Am I the a-hole for asking my brother to pay $30,000 for my engagement ring? I hosted a family dinner over the weekend, and my brother brought my nephews 4 and 8 over as well. I used to wear my engagement ring all the time, but lately I keep it in my walk-in closet and mainly wear it for special occasions. While I was cleaning up the dinner table, my nephews went to go play while the adults were still in the outdoor patio/outdoor kitchen area, and my brother was not supervising his kids. During this time, my nephews went into the master bedroom without anyone knowing and started playing with everything, including my engagement ring. When we came to look for them, they panicked because they know they aren't supposed to be upstairs, then ran into the master bathroom and flushed my ring. We called a plumber in case it was somehow in the U-trap of the toilet and not actually gone. But nope. Unfortunately, it was gone for good. We still had the original receipt, so I called my brother. I emailed him a scanned copy as proof of the cost and asked him to reimburse me for the ring my nephew flushed. Immediately, he started calling me an a-hole because we are family and he was just a child and has refused to repay the cost of my ring. I told him I will be taking him to court for this, and now my entire family is blowing up my phone, saying families shouldn't sue each other and just let it go. Edit? No, the ring was not insured. I found out the day after my nephew flushed it. My husband says he forgot, and in the end, never actually insured it. My brother says he does not have the money to repay even $100 per month and has refused any kind of repayment plan. He said I live in a nice enough house, and if I want a replacement, I should just sell my car. My brother, to this day, has not truly apologized. It was a Canadian sorry, not sorry. He said kids will do what is normal for kids, and they shouldn't be held responsible for a ring. But they were supposed to supervise their kids outdoors with the rest of the family while I was busy cleaning up. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. His circus, he's monkeys. He wasn't watching them, so that's on him. 100% he should replace your ring. As for all the family who are blowing up at you, it's easy when it didn't happen to them to preach forgiveness. Ignore them. Also, 8 and 4 are more than old enough to know better. My 3-year-old knows not to touch someone else's things in their home without asking. Choices have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are expensive. Sorry this happened to you. 8 and 4 are more than old enough to know better. They did know better. That's why they ran and flushed it. This is the most insane part of the story in my opinion. I get it being kids and all, but what the heck is that? What are these kids learning from their parents? Your $30,000 ring wasn't insured? That's the first thing you're supposed to do, because accidents happen even if you don't wear your ring often. They get stolen or nibblings flush them randomly. Hence, insurance. It's not a deal to sue him, because he should never put you in this position. He should have proposed some sort of payment plan, in some way, shape, or form. Since he was a giant a-hole about blaming you, now you're not the a-hole taking him to court. Unless you have insurance and can handle it that way. Not a-hole. Your family's right. Families shouldn't sue each other because it should be being repaid without courts. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my daughter to my wedding? I, 37 male, am getting married this fall and have made a choice to not invite my daughter Bella, 16 female, due to circumstances I will explain in this post. Before people tell me that we should sit down and talk or do therapy, those options have been exhausted and are no longer viable. Me and my ex-wife, Theresa, 38 female, do not have a good relationship. We started dating at 16 and then had Bella at 21. At first, everything was awesome, but then my wife started hanging out with a group of women. Just not very good people, and I refused to hang out with them. My wife started drinking heavily with this group and going out at night, leaving me with our daughter. I didn't like how she was keeping up our home either, as I worked full-time and she didn't. But the final straw was when I was forced to come along bar hopping. Theresa got embarrassingly drunk, then started calling me a loser in front of everyone. This was not the first time she had publicly disrespected me. She had a habit of trying to show off to her friend by belittling me. I filed for divorce the next weekend. The original custody agreement was 50-50, which then changed because I asked for a DNA test on Bella. I had heard rumors and wanted to confirm. My ex blew up and refused to allow a DNA test to be done, solidifying what I expected. My ex went back and got pretty much full custody because I refused to pay child support without a DNA test. And this has been the arrangement for 5 years. I see Bella a few times a month. I do what I can, but I don't have custody, so it's difficult. I'm engaged to one of my best friends, Chrissy, 33 female. We've known each other since college, and Bella hates her for no reason. Chrissy wasn't even involved in my life once I got married. Bella for some reason thinks she's terrible, when Chrissy has been nothing but nice to her. Then recently someone showed me Bella's social media where she blasted us, saying how she had a deadbeat dad. Not true, as I paid for her and her mom for 7 years, and still give her money whenever I see her, and called Chrissy a loose woman in the same post. I was planning my invites for our wedding, and I did not invite Bella. She didn't care for us. She called Chrissy a slur and shamed me on social media, lying for attention. I also don't want drama at my wedding. It should be a fun time, not another event for Bella to hijack. Well, my ex-wife found out about the wedding and asked what Bella's role would be. I told her she didn't have one because she isn't invited. I called Bella and gave her my reasoning, as well as telling her that her post on social media played a factor, so she should be more careful what lies she wants to put out there. She tried to apologize and say she would behave at the wedding. I told her that I knew she didn't like Chrissy or me that much, so why would she expect an invite? She called me an a-hole, and we haven't spoken since. Am I the a-hole? I wouldn't go as far as calling you an a-hole, but don't expect to be able to salvage any kind of relationship with your daughter in the future. Edit, read again, and change my mind. If you've been wanting a DNA test for 5 years, that means Bella was what, 11 when you decided you wanted one? Which tells her that you only consider her your daughter and want 50-50 custody if she's genetically yours, regardless of the fact that you raised her from childhood. Weird hill to die on if you actually care about her at all, and weird to expect her to want to get along with your fiancé. You're the a-hole. I mean, do most people consider their ex's kid with someone else they were cheating on you with to be theirs? Some people keep in touch with their stepkids after a divorce, but plenty don't. I don't think that is a weird hill to die on. Bella was apparently 11 years old and living with Opie half the time. It's really simple to do a cheek swab and send it in for testing. Ex-wife's refusal sounds like an excuse. Daughter, you're the a-hole just for that. Get a court order for a paternity test before you stop paying child support. You also raised this child, but suddenly she isn't your daughter? That is new depths of a-holehood. Legit, and he's upset that his daughter is mad at him for abandoning her. Of course she's not going to like his new wife. As far as she can tell, her dad abandoned her for a new life. You're the a-hole, OP. You are a deadbeat and a terrible father. Info, why didn't you have the courts order the DNA test? That's like standard divorce and custody procedure number 1. Your ex would have been held in contempt if she refused a court-ordered DNA test. This makes no sense. Probably because he was already declared her father at birth, because he and the mother were married. Courts usually do not disestablish paternity unless it is directly asked to, since paternity is already established. I'm going to get trashed for this for sure, but why paternity test is an automatic thing? Sure, it's a happy family event when someone is born right there, but sometimes that can be behind lies. Sure, I know laws pretend to protect the child, but at the expense of whom? Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying just because I don't wear my wedding ring doesn't mean I'm trying to hook up? Forgive me if I spell something wrong. My buddy said to post my story here due to all the backlash I'm getting from a job. I, 41 male, have 2 jobs. One is a full-time blue-collar job where I work with cement a lot just for some background. And the other is a small firm another buddy of mine owns as a part-time accounting associate. So at this accounting firm, everyone else knows I'm married and has been married for 17 years, with 2 kids, 14 male and 12 female. They hired a new full-time accountant. Let's call her River. To me, she has been a crowd pleaser, and due to most of work being virtual, we had a much more lax dress code. For context, for my primary job, I work for 10-hour shifts a week, and normally Monday to Thursday. Then Friday and Saturday I work at my buddy's firm, basically do reconciliations on an accrual basis. I normally don't wear my ring because sometimes I have to go help on a project and have lost many rings in cement without realizing it. So I normally don't wear it when I am working because everyone already knows that I am a married man. The only thing I talk about is my family, construction, and accounting. Then some of the guys at the office were talking about River, how she has been dumped by her boyfriend and is looking for a new man. Me, being the kind person I am, said I hope she finds a man who would make her happy. Somehow what I said got to her, and she thought that I was hitting on her. And she came up to me and tried to tell me a sob story about her man was insecure about her having a lonely fence. I said that is definitely a deal breaker for most, so I guess she thought I was saying I am an exception. So she asked if I want to record some content later, and I politely said, "No, I am married." She said, "Why don't you have a ring on then?" And I said I don't wear a ring because they normally get lost in cement. She said, "You must want to appear single if you don't wear your ring here." And I said, "Just because I don't wear a ring doesn't mean I want to hook up with some professional." She screamed and called me a misogynistic pig and said she will get me fired. I just laughed and said, "You're selling your body for money. Back in my day, they had a name for those. They're professionals." So I ask, am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. You were not the a-hole for the entire post until those last few sentences. Big for your response to her. It was unnecessary and cruel. I bet it made you feel really big though to belittle someone. It was pretty necessary. She asked a coworker to make adult content with her, didn't take no for an answer, and called him a liar and insisted he wanted to appear single. If she's going to be sensual and pushy, she deserves to be insulted. I bet if it was a man doing it to a woman, you'd be saying the exact opposite of what you are now. Yes, honestly, calling her a professional is basically what she was to OP. She wanted to hook up with him in order to get paid, even if it wasn't by OP. Not the a-hole. Also, she is admittedly a worker who was propositioning to you. What does it makes her? The only criticism people can make to you is the wording, but she was the one who started by harassing you at work. You should take the initiative and tell your boss before she tries to control the narrative. I hope he heed that advice. He is now in a vulnerable place and cannot trust her. Not the a-hole. You are not wrong. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He called a spade a spade. She wasn't angry at a time of making money through OF by selling her pictures, but is now angry that people openly associate her with her profession? You stood your ground, man. You are a believer in true gender equality. I completely support you. Same. If I was there, I would have said, "Get wrecked," after that line. Haha. It sounds like he was dishing the same energy she was giving. But I agree. He should let his supervisor know before she does, and this whole thing becomes more unnecessary drama. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking boyfriend of 3 years to not go to a wedding without me? Me and my boyfriend have been living together for a year and been a couple for a total of 3 years. I've met my boyfriend's childhood friend that I'm now posting about several times, and he has always been very kind to me. However, meeting his fiancée was a different story. She was very rude to me, talked only to my boyfriend, and when I tried to be part of their conversation, she told me that my boyfriend used to be in love with her friend, which I had no idea about since it happened 10 years ago before I was part of his life. I continued to try to be kind to her and complimented her engagement ring, asking when they were supposed to get married. And her reply to me was, "When is your boyfriend going to propose to you?" I was surprised and said, "I don't know," and remained silent for a while, letting them keep their conversation going, before asking my boyfriend to come with me to the bar to get a drink. At the bar, I explained I didn't feel very welcome and asked if we could leave. He wanted to stay and we did. I continued to try to be kind to everyone since I don't know most of the people there. I have since then met both my boyfriend's friend and his fiancée again, and it has been fine. However, we recently received a wedding invitation that states that they are getting married this summer. My boyfriend has paid for a bachelor party that includes them going for a weekend in another country. Unfortunately, my name was not on a wedding invitation. However, it was signed, "We look forward to celebrate our special day with you." Since me and my boyfriend have been a couple for 3 years and are living together, we both assumed I'd be included in the invite. But to make sure, my boyfriend asked the groom if it was okay to RSVP for both of us. His friend responded that they couldn't have everyone bring a +1. As my boyfriend thought it was a decision for all of their mutual friends who wasn't married, he said he understood. However, it now seems that I'm the only one of the girlfriends/wives who are not invited. I would really hate for him to miss this event, but clearly the fiancé doesn't like me, and I feel like if my boyfriend went without me, it would be making it okay for her to exclude me for no real reason. I think he should ask his friend why I'm the only one not invited, and ask how his friend would have reacted if it was the other way around and it was them in our situation. They've known each other for nearly 20 years. It just seems wrong to not invite his partner as well. And it's breaking my heart seeing my boyfriend having to choose. Yet, at the same time, I feel as all our mutual friends are going, he should stand up for me. Am I the a-hole? His friend responded that they couldn't have everyone bring a +1. My boyfriend has paid for a bachelor party that includes them going for a weekend in another country. So the person who paid for his bachelor party in another country can't bring a +1? Not the a-hole. They are. And so is your boyfriend if he accepts this behavior towards you. If my friend tried this, I would cancel all the reservations except the flight. They can figure it out when they get there. No, not the a-hole. Adobe's boyfriend should be ashamed of his lack of spine. Not the a-hole. This is BS, and they are clearly isolating you. Your boyfriend paid for a bachelor party in another country, and yet they can't afford to invite his long-term partner. That's incredibly tacky, and they clearly think snubbing you is more important than your boyfriend's friendship. How on earth is your boyfriend not furious about this rudeness to you, and also rudeness to him? Can he not see how everyone else is getting a +1 but not him? Is he not embarrassed? They want to get the boyfriend hooked back up with his old love, the bride-to-be's best friend. Boyfriend should insist on OP attending, or he should withdraw from the wedding and all the preparations. Anything short of this shows his lack of respect/support with OP. Not the a-hole. Ask your boyfriend to tell his bestie that it's not fair for you to be excluded when all of the other girlfriends have been invited. If they continue to exclude you after that conversation, and your boyfriend wants to go without you, or if he doesn't stand up for you and have this conversation, he doesn't care about you enough for you to stay with him. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother that it was her decision to have kids? I, 28 female, have never had a good relationship with my mother. She and my dad married young and had 4 kids. Me, 2 sisters, 27 female and 24 female, and my brother, 20. My parents' marriage was highly toxic, and they divorced when I was 17 because my mother had an affair with her now second husband. Mother and hubby number 2 have 1 child together, female 10. Ever since we were kids, my siblings and I have been subjected to my mother's mantra of, "I gave you life, so you should be freaking grateful." From the time we were young, my mother would use the above phrase to gain anything. From our sweets, our birthday money, to taking a percentage of payslips when we joined 6th form, ages 16 to 18 education in the UK. My siblings and I have been fortunate enough that our paternal grandparents are well off, and they paid for our university fees, minus my brother who chose not to attend university. However, our grandparents are in declining health and have decided to give us grandchildren our inheritance early so they can watch us enjoy it, and not have this trust to put on my dad to sort out our portion when their time comes. My brother decided to buy a car with his and save the rest to travel. My 2 sisters are spending it on their growing families, while I decided to use my portion for a mortgage deposit, and I'm weeks away from buying my first home. My mother is enraged at our choices. When she found out that her ex-in-laws had given us all money, she yelled at how it was unfair that our younger half-sister missed out, and how we have a rule that she gets a percentage of our inheritance, because I gave them life and they need to learn to be freaking grateful. And then extended it saying how we never appreciated her sacrifices for us, how we butchered her body, drained her mental state, and caused her divorce because our dad was too focused on us rather than paying attention to her, which caused her to cheat. I snapped at my mother and told her to shut the heck up. I told her that we didn't ask for her to bring us into this world because she chose to have kids. And if I had a chance to change who my biological mother was, I would, because she's always been a crappy one. Now she's telling the family that I don't appreciate her struggles with parenting, and I've upset her so badly that she's unable to focus on areas of her life that need her. For example, my half-sister, her job as a nurse, etc. My sibling sided with me, but our half-sister has sent me texts saying I need to say sorry for being mean. My stepdad, not a word I want to use, has called me an a-hole for speaking to my mother harshly. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom is toxic, and she likely royally ruined her youngest daughter by making her believe she's a victim of your grandparents' generosity. Right? Your mom told your 10-year-old half-sister a skewed version of what happened and stirred up drama. Your mom may have even sent the text from your sister calling you mean. She is a monster, not an a-hole. I don't understand her mentality. You children must give me all your money because I choose to have you? And a bit about a half-sister makes even less sense. My daughter missed out on money from people she has no biological or familial relation with. Mom's a narcissist. Everything's always about her and only her. Normal person logic is just irrelevant here. Your mom's affair partner needs to sit down and shut up. Your half-sister is not related to your grandparents. She deserves nothing. Your mother is way off base here. Your mom cheated on their son. Your paternal grandparents are probably not her biggest fans. Your mom can go pound sand, not stay home. Opie's mom needs to keep both her mouth and legs shut. She decided to give birth. She decided to cheat. Nobody owes their parents for giving them life. We are usually grateful for what they do for us during our lives, and she obviously has not done much. You owe her nothing, Opie. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You're absolutely correct. She gave life to you. That's correct. But that doesn't mean you are her slaves. She failed you as a parent. Didn't provide for you. Didn't show you any love or support. She's a vampire. Get some garlic and keep her away from your life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents why I hate my name? Okay, so basically I, female 16, have 3 older siblings. John, Julia, and Jess. John and Julia are twins and Jess was about 3 years younger than them. Jess had a lot of medical issues as a kid according to my parents. She was born too early and had a lot of breathing issues, etc. And 2 months before I was born, when Jess was 4 and the twins were 7, Jess died. I was never told exactly how, but I knew it had something to do with her medical issues. My parents were distraught and when I was born I was named Jess, after my older deceased sister. See, the issue was that being directly named after the dad-daughter starts up problems. My older siblings refuse to call me by my name. They call me by my middle name or just don't refer to me at all. And as a kid, I always wanted to be friends with them. But they're a good 7 years older and have apparently already bonded enough with the original Jess that they don't really want to interact with me. My parents are even weirder. They put photos of original Jess on my birthday and look like they're about to cry whenever they say my name. They constantly bring up Jess. If I get a bad grade, they'll go on about how Jess would have done so much better. Or if I said I was feeling sick, they told me that I couldn't be as sick as Jess was and to stop faking it for attention. Don't even get me started on my parents' friends because they just keep giving me weird looks. I can't live out the shadow of original Jess, which sounds horrible but honestly it's true. A few days ago, my mom got a letter from my old school where they used the nickname Anna, my middle name, and my mother blew up on me. She called me ungrateful and said I was ruining my sister's image and good name and destroying her soul or something. And I blew up on her too, explaining why I hated using the name Jess and how it was stupid naming me that, and how I can't keep living in the shadow of a kid who died nearly 17 years ago. Harsh, I know, but I was so angry. My mom, dad, family, friends, and even my own friends are telling me that I'm the a-hole here, that I shouldn't have gone off on her, but my siblings are saying that I said what needed to be said. And to be honest, I like having their approval. So am I the a-hole for telling my mom why I hate my name? Edit. Reading the comments, I do have to note that I love my parents. They've been great parents except for the name thing. I don't really want to go no contact because they really are great parents. Like them moving across the country for me because I found a performing arts school. But honestly, I understand my siblings as kids not wanting anything to do with me. If I was in their position, I wouldn't want to either. And also, all the names are fake. My name isn't actually Jess, but I do appreciate all the J-name jokes. Not the a-hole. Not even a little bit. Honestly, I think it's super twisted that they named you after her. They robbed you of your own identity because they hadn't processed their grief. My thoughts exactly. The parents are awful for doing that. Right. Opie's definitely not the a-hole. In fact, this whole story reads like the beginning of good creepypasta or no sleep. I hope that they can find some peace and that Opie continues to use her own unique middle name. Also, good on her siblings for standing behind her on this issue. Not the a-hole. Why would anyone name their youngest kid after older late sibling? And what image does your late sister have? She died at 4. Your parents are projecting unhealthily and robbing you of your own identity. As a mother who has lost a child, I can understand using the child's name as a middle name for a new baby, the way we honor other relatives including those who have died. A first name? No one should have expected Opie to go by that name. Next story. Am I the a-hole for cutting off support to my daughter? I, 52 male, have 3 children with my ex Tracy, 50 female, Michael, 28 male, Linda, 25 female, and Victoria, 23 female. We split because Tracy had an affair with Stan, 55 male, to whom she is now married. We never shared with the kids the reason for the divorce as I didn't want them to blame either of us. This backfired, as the kids saw their mom move out of the house into a small apartment and me keep living in the house and remarried 2 years after the divorce. So they saw me as the bad guy. Stan and Tracy let them pretty much do whatever they wanted. And I had to be the disciplinarian who made sure homework was done, appointments were made, and deadlines were met. My two oldest eventually came to realize that I was not a bad guy. My son, when he found out that his mother had put nothing away for college for him as outlined in our divorce decree, and she told him to take out loans. While my daughter, when she realized that her grades were going to keep her out of her desired program in school. My youngest never came around though, so it was a surprise when her boyfriend asked for my blessing to ask for her hand. When I expressed that I didn't think she'd care about my blessing, he said she insisted on it. She began spending time with me, being polite to my wife, and it felt wonderful to have my daughter back. I went with them to book the venue and they'll be getting married next summer. I paid a deposit and a first installment. Then I noticed that she was becoming less communicative again recently, ignoring my texts or giving one-word replies and not coming over as much. On Monday, my son sends me a post from Instagram. My youngest had an engagement party this weekend to which I was not invited. One of the photos was her with Stan and it read, "Anyone can be a father, but it takes a real man to be a dad." This amazing guy has been my dad for 15 years, even though he didn't have to be. I am so blessed to have him walk me down the aisle next year. #daddy's girl, #future Mrs. X. My kids wanted for nothing their entire lives because I never let them go without. Even when they wouldn't talk to me, I made sure their needs were met. I texted Tracy to ask why I was not included, and she replied that Victoria didn't want my wife there because she wanted a drama-free day. My wife has literally never started drama in her life. I asked if Stan and I would both be walking her down the aisle. Tracy didn't respond, but Victoria called me up demanding to know what my problem was. I repeated my question, and she replied that no, Stan, her dad, would be walking her down the aisle. I told her that if that's what she wanted, I would be fine with it. I told her to let Stan know the next payment for the wedding is due in November. Stan and Tracy do not have the money for this wedding, and I think I'm being an a-hole. Linda says if I do this, Victoria will never speak to me again. Michael is on my side. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If you aren't her dad in her eyes, then why would you pay for the wedding? And here is a novel idea. The bride and groom can pay for the wedding instead of the parents. I'm recently engaged and wouldn't dream of asking my parents for help paying for the wedding. Yeah, I was married last year and we had a wedding we could afford. I don't know why my parents would need to pay for my event. Not the a-hole. Maybe it's time you told your kids the real reason behind a divorce. Right? They're grown now. Time to rip off the band-aid. And to hell Stan/mom. What a sack of moldy douches they make. Not the a-hole. This. Don't hide things from your kids when you divorce. As a kid whose parents did this, it leads to nothing but badness. Be honest with them. But also, as others have said, she absolutely used you for the money, which is frankly disgusting. Get your deposit money back and let them pay for it themselves. I don't understand why it seems so many parents don't tell their children the reasons why. I left my ex when my daughter was 3. He's an alcoholic. It was very easy to say, "Daddy is sick and was not nice to mommy. But we still love you very much." She still knows the reason. She still loves both of us. You don't have to alienate a parent to be honest with your children. Full disclosure, I'm not Michael, but I'm on your side too, OP. The truth about your divorce was ugly and unflattering to Tracy, so you apparently agreed to hide it forever. OP, not just till the kids were grown, but forever. That decision has bitten you in the butt and cost you your relationship with at least one of your adult kids. Please, sit down with Linda and Michael and tell them the truth about the divorce. Show them the bratty IG posting from Victoria and say, "You know, I love all of you, but everyone has limits. I feel used and disrespected and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. If Victoria wants to talk to me about this directly, fine, but I'm not willing to bankroll an event where I'm cast as an unwelcome stranger. Not the a-hole for keeping your money in your wallet and finding something else to do on the wedding day." Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my parents why my wedding gift was significantly smaller than my sister's? My husband and I, 28 male, 28 female, got married recently, and my sister, 31 female, and I were discussing the wedding after returning from the honeymoon. We are very fortunate to have grown up in a household where my parents made very good money. They were generous with us, but raised my sister and I to be hardworking and not dependent on them as adults. My sister and I both do well financially, as does her husband, 36 male. My husband loves his job, but it is not one that has a ton of earning potential. He and I met in college, so I've always known this was his plan, and we are very happy with our setup. During my discussion with my sister, She asked me if my husband and I were planning to use the wedding gift money from my parents to do a particular renovation for which we've been saving. But I was very confused because the gift, while extremely generous and appreciated, wasn't nearly enough to cover that. She told me how much she had been gifted, and it was more than twice what we had been given. After that, I couldn't stop thinking about why I had gotten less. So my sister encouraged me to ask, and during a call with my mom, I couldn't stop myself from asking. Her response was that it wasn't my business. But since I did ask, my sister has chosen a partner that can accommodate the lifestyle she's used to. So they've gifted her accordingly. They also gifted me accordingly to the lifestyle I've chosen. We are not entitled to gifts of any size in life, but I still can't help feeling hurt that my parents feel that my husband and I are less deserving than my sister and her husband based on income. Meanwhile, my parents are angry at both my sister and me for having this discussion and bringing it to them. Not today, Hall. There's a lot of reasons that would have made sense and been okay, including a simple, we're not in the same financial situation we were in when we gave your sister her wedding gift. But to make it about how much you guys make is basically a passive-aggressive way of saying, you got less because you picked a partner we feel is beneath you. Amen. Wait for the shocked Pikachu face when Opie goes no contact and then have kids. It will be cruel to not let Grammy and Grampy see their cheer-ups. Not today, Hall, and I don't understand your parents' reasoning. Seems like they just want to punish you for choosing a spouse that makes less money than they would have preferred. Honestly, if your sister's husband is so well off, why would she need additional money as a gift? That was my first thought and response. I've seen this firsthand in my extended family. Some members are very well off, and for some reason, money attracts money. If you are rich, people seem to give money to you since you are seen as good with money and more deserving, and those that don't do as well seem to be given far less. It's bizarre, but in some ways it makes sense, since those who are good with money will likely grow it, and those who aren't are more likely to blow through it more quickly. That said, it should be considered those who have plenty of money don't need more gifted to them, and those who are struggling should be given a little help from time to time, unless they are wasting it on drugs or gambling, etc. What's weird logic? Your brother-in-law makes more so we gift them more? Your husband makes less so we gift you less? Sounds backwards. Also sounds like they're punishing you for choosing who you married. That was my thought. My family makes less money than my sisters. My parents are always giving me things they aren't giving her. We also have kids and they don't. But my sister nor her husband couldn't care less who gets what.